In the annals of strange history, few stories are as unsettling and yet oddly romantic as that of the corpse bride of medieval France. It takes us to the reign of King Charles VI in the 14th century, a time when royal authority, church law, and medieval superstition often intertwined in, well, pretty unsettling ways. In this tale, the king granted permission for something that even in that age seemed unusual, a man marrying his dead fiancée. This wasn't a ghostly legend or a poetic metaphor. It was a legal marriage ceremony, attended by witnesses, blessed by the church, and presided over by the king's command, except that the bride was already a corpse. The story begins with a nobleman, deeply in love with his betrothed, a young noblewoman whose beauty and grace had been the talk of the court. But the relationship was not the idyllic romance it appeared to be. Tensions between their families had grown intense, fueled by politics, property disputes, and whispered rumors of betrayal. In a moment of violence, whether born from passion, jealousy, or rage, the nobleman murdered his fiancée. The act shocked the community, but even more shocking was what happened next. Instead of the man being immediately condemned to death, he petitioned the king with a strange request: permission to marry the woman he had killed. On the surface, this sounds like the behavior of a man either mad with grief or desperate to cover his own crime. But in medieval France, there was a peculiar legal loophole. If a couple was betrothed and a pregnancy had occurred before the wedding, the child would be considered illegitimate unless the parents were wed, even posthumously. Marriage to a corpse was not common, but it was legally possible in rare cases, primarily to protect inheritance rights or preserve the honor of the deceased woman's family. For reasons we can only speculate, perhaps pressure from influential allies, perhaps pity for the unborn child, perhaps a fascination with the morbid, King Charles VI granted the request. And so the bizarre wedding was arranged. The young woman's body was prepared for the ceremony as though she were merely sleeping. Her finest gown was fitted upon her lifeless frame, and a veil was placed to hide the pallor of death. In the church, candles flickered and incense burned, attempting to mask the unsettling atmosphere. The nobleman stood at the altar, not opposite a living bride, but before her embalmed remains. The priest recited the vows. The groom placed a ring on her stiffened finger. Witnesses, perhaps in horror, perhaps in awe, signed the marriage register. To the medieval mind, the ceremony served two purposes. Spiritually, it was believed to set things right in the eyes of God, acknowledging that the couple had intended to be wed. Legally, it legitimized their unborn child, ensuring the continuation of bloodlines, the securing of inheritance, and the preservation of family honor. But the darker undercurrent of this tale lingers. The man's guilt in her death was never truly addressed. Instead, the ritual transformed the narrative from one of brutal murder to one of tragic romance, a romanticized legal fiction that allowed society to turn away from the harsher truth. Accounts of the event suggest the groom was not punished for the killing, though he lived under the weight of public gossip and scandal. The child, when born, was recognized as legitimate and inherited their mother's estate. The corpse bride herself was interred with the title and recognition of a married noblewoman, her story buried in the margins of legal and ecclesiastical history. What makes the corpse bride of medieval France so chilling is not just the grotesque image of a man marrying the woman he killed, but the fact that the law, the church, and the monarchy all endorsed it. It reveals the deeply entwined priorities of medieval society. Lineage, property, and honor often outweighed morality and justice. In our modern era, the very idea is unthinkable. A macabre blend of romance, law, and death that blurs the lines between love story and crime scene. And yet, it is a reminder that history is filled with moments when societal values were not only different, but disturbingly so.